Welcome! I've been tagged by the one and only Abigail Barry BBW in this small YouTubers tag thing. I was really happy because I think this is a good idea. It means we smaller YouTubers, we on the lower levels, can get to know each other a bit better and share our opinions on our content and YouTube in general. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on with these 15 questions. Question 1. Describe your content in one sentence. Funko collecting, music collecting, and inane comedy. Question 2. What equipment do you use to film? Just my phone, really. iPhone 7 Plus. I don't have a proper camera or anything, but the iPhone's camera, front and rear, is exceptional quality in my opinion. I have also got a lapel mic. You can see it there. It plugs right into the phone's lightning port. Cheap, not the greatest mic, but it does improve my sound somewhat. So that's all I use. Question 3, what do I use to edit? I use 2 apps. The first one is what I call the app that I use for all the grunt work, iMovie. Everyone will have iMovie or know of it who's got an iPhone, certainly. And for sort of more elaborate if you can call them that, for sort of higher end transitions, effects, putting picture in picture, video in video, things like that, I use an app called Movie Spirit, which I think is absolutely marvellous. In fact, it's been a godsend to me this last year. It's just allowed my videos to just really have their own identity and just to be a little more visually appealing to you, the viewer. Number 4, which YouTuber do you resemble the most in terms of content? I don't think I resemble anyone in content because my content is pretty eclectic. Yes, I do mainly Funko Pop unboxings, things like that, but I also like to chuck in quite a lot of other stuff, so I don't really know anyone who does sort of quite the mix that I do. I know other channels who do a mixture of things, you know, Leroy Screwballs for example. Yes, he does a lot of pop openings, pop unboxings, but he also does vlogs and things where he's going, I think he calls it beach combing, where he's basically looking for old jewellery on the beach and things like that. But for me, the mixture that I do, which is mainly Funko, things to do with music, and then any sort of comedy bits and skits that I can think of, be them YTPs or similar, then yeah. Number 5, which big YouTuber would you love to collab with and why? I'd really love to collab with Techmoan. He is the only big YouTuber that I will watch sort of religiously without, you know, any hesitation. He's one of only 2 YouTubers who I support on Patreon. I think he's on about 800,000 subscribers now. He'll get to 1 million probably by this time next year, if not before. I just love his stuff. He does a lot on retro hi-fi, retro technology. I don't know why he'd want to collaborate with me, because my knowledge of, even though I'm into all that sort of stuff, my knowledge of all that kind of thing is just so remedial compared to him. Question 6, does your channel meet the new monetization guidelines? I don't think they're that new now, are they? Didn't these guidelines come into effect about a year ago? Maybe even longer? Feels like a long time ago anyway. No, mine don't, no. Before they introduced this thing where you had to have 1,000 subscribers or so many minutes or hours of views, I can't remember which, I was getting monetized, but it was just so little amounts. This was before I'd really started focusing on YouTube as well. It was just like odd videos that I'd done from years ago, just getting a lot of interest. But they'd be monetized in that I'd say, oh yeah, that's a such and such, but it was never enough to put me over the threshold to actually be paid by Google. So no, it doesn't meet the monetization guidelines, and that is one of the reasons why I'm on Patreon. And yes, I will do a cheap plug for my Patreon account. And I think Patreon is more important really for smaller YouTubers of my level, and even, you know, quite a bit higher, who may be starting to get monetized, but they're still not really receiving anything financial from Google for their endeavors. If you're a fan of a YouTuber, big or small, and they're on Patreon, and you really love what they do, then I will say go out and support them. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about anyone who you might be into who is asking for that little bit of extra support, because going back to Techmoan for a sec, it says that even someone on his level at well over 750,000, the ad revenues on YouTube are just not what they were, and he's just not making a lot of money. For him, and for a lot of people, I think, having a YouTube channel is now their income. That's their full-time job. So Patreon is especially important because it keeps these channels alive and it keeps these people in employment, for want of a better word. And that's not me. My Patreon is of such a small level, as is my channel, that I just set mine up in the hope to maybe cover some costs, and so far it's achieved its purpose. 7. Do you think the new guidelines are fair? I don't think they're fair or unfair, it's just a thing that YouTube implemented. I don't know. I think at any level below 1,000, even if you were monetized, unless you had sort of a big viral hit on your hands, then you're not really going to see any financial recompense, as it were, from YouTube/Google. It's neither fair nor unfair, it is what it is. Number 8, what do you classify as a small YouTuber? It's a tricky question, this. I know other people whose tag videos I've watched have struggled with this one. Personally, I would say anyone below maybe 10,000 maybe still be classed as a small YouTuber. I mean, to me, 10,000 is a massive amount. 5,000 is a massive amount. 1,000, and I am closer to 1,000 now than I ever dreamt possible, and I've still got a ways to go, but it is something that I strive for. Not just for the kind of, oh yeah, it's a nice round figure, I've reached this milestone, but, you know, the more subscribers you have, the more people to interact with, the possibilities of making more friends and more contacts, you know, the amount of friendships that have developed for me and contacts that I've made within the Funko collecting community this last year has just been incredible. In fact, it's not even been a year really, and I've just met and spoke to and got to know so many awesome people, fellow collectors, fellow YouTubers, and obviously if you're growing, then the scope to meet more people like that and to cast your network wider, as it were. But I'd say maybe below 10,000 you'd still be considered small, really. But it's a matter of personal opinion, really. Question 9, if you had more money, equipment or support, what content would you make? I don't think I'd do an awful lot different. I would try and do more of the music collecting stuff, because I would use whatever extra money that I have to buy more music devices, you know, old hi-fi equipment and things like that. I'd basically just do what Techmoan does, but on a much more amateur level. Although for me, really, the music thing, I don't really know an awful lot about hardware, about equipment and devices. It's the actual music itself, the physical formats that I like, and I'll touch on that in a later question. And I'd possibly get a dedicated video camera, you know, 4K, and a decent laptop or computer to edit on, although that would mean having to reteach myself how to edit on a PC or a Mac as opposed to my phone. I haven't really edited on a computer in about 7 or 8 years, so. Number 10, do you watch and support other small YouTubers? God, yeah. It's mostly small YouTubers that I watch. There is big channels that I watch. I'll mention Techmoan because I'm just a massive fan of his and he does great work and I support him on Patreon. But there is plenty of others. I could list them all. I don't want to list people and then realise I've forgotten people, so. I will mention Geeky Heathen though, not to single him out above anyone else, but just because he's the only other person apart from Techmoan who I support on Patreon, and he's also a Patreon for me, so it's kind of a mutual, you know, but we enjoy each other's content. You all know who you are, all you small YouTubers who regularly watch my videos and comment, and we talk outside of YouTube in chat groups and things, so, you know, thank you to all of you. and I love watching all of you. I try and watch as many people's videos as possible. There's some people, and some of our class as friends, but if they put a video up that I'm not interested in, I won't watch it, but they'll know that that's not to my taste, but they'll know that the next video they upload that I am interested in, they'll know I'll watch and I'll comment. And I like to think that works for me. You know, not everything I put up is going to please all of my subscribers. Just watch what you like, comment on what you like, don't watch what you're not interested in. I always find it weird when people say to me, I don't want to put out too much content. I've got all these videos lined up, but I don't want to put them out too quick. Yeah, I don't believe in putting videos out about 6 a day, and none of them are very good, and they've all been kind of rushed, but I also don't believe in holding back either. Stagger your releases, like 1 a day, or if that's too much for you, 1 every other day. People say, oh, I'm worried about my viewers getting bored. Well, they'll either watch or they won't, you know, and it's not like it's live television. YouTube is an on-demand video service. If your viewers haven't got time to watch all the stuff you're putting out, then they can get back to it when they have got time. As long as you've got that there banked in your catalogue, in your library, then that's there for however long you choose to keep it up, and people can come back to it. I am one for re-watching videos that I really like, and some people's videos I still re-watch now from like years ago. Nothing famous or viral or anything, just stuff that I really enjoy and like watching again. My advice is to any YouTuber, but particularly the smaller ones, because that's what we're doing this tag thing for. Take care of your content, you know, put your heart and your soul into it. Don't rush it, don't just shit it out without any sort of thought as to any aspect to it. But don't be worried about boring your viewers or doing too much of the same thing, because most of your viewers will like seeing much of the same thing, and if they don't, they'll take a break. Number 11, list 3 hobbies outside of YouTube. Wow, only 3. I mean, a lot of my hobbies are kind of now interlinked into YouTube, because I mean, that's the best way to start a YouTube channel, isn't it? Just like sit down and talk about what you're interested in. If you've got one hobby, then you could start a channel, really, and just talk about it. So I really love watching wrestling. I have done for years. I've done a little bit of writing about wrestling. I've got notebooks with notes full of booking ideas and stuff, which I don't really talk about to anybody, but I thought I would share that little tidbit. Love music, and particularly collecting physical music formats. I do collect CDs, as dull as they are to an extent, although I like CDs. I think they get a bad rap these days. But I also like collecting more retro or unusual formats. Mini disc. I've got quite an extensive mini disc collection now. Not so long ago, I've started getting back into collecting cassette tapes, and even more recently, and some of you will still have the memories of these videos fresh in your mind, but I've started collecting vinyl records again. Is that 3 hobbies? No, I don't think it is. I love comedy as well. TV, sitcoms. I do like some stand-up, but it's mainly sitcoms that I'm into, and certain comedy films. I'm kind of a nerd for comedy, like how a lot of you are nerds for Marvel and Star Wars and stuff like that. You know, I can get really kind of geeky about certain sitcoms and remembering lines and specific character information and things like that. I like to read, particularly non-fiction, you know, books about bands and groups and about wrestling and wrestling history. I like to cook, believe it or not. I personally am never bored, because I've always got something that I can be doing and something that I can be enjoying. And editing and filming on YouTube takes up a lot more of my time now anyway, but even if it doesn't, then I'll always have something to do. And I always say, if someone says they're bored, that just means they're boring, because they've not got any hobbies, or they're not invested in their hobbies enough, rather than just saying, oh, I'm bored. You know, don't be bored, it's boring. Number 12, when do you upload? Whenever I want, really. I don't like to go less than maybe 4 or 5 times a week for uploads. It can vary. I have had a couple of weeks, I think, this year where I've actually managed to put a video out 7 days in a row. I like to get things out regularly, not just for my viewers. You know, a lot of you enjoy it, but I enjoy doing it. So if I enjoy doing it, I might as well do it. And then I don't really like to upload more than once a day. It has happened, I think, occasionally, but usually it's been like special circumstances, like a giveaway, draw, or a live stream. But if I've got 2 or 3 videos in the can, as it were, then I'll stagger them. Like, one can come out pretty much instantly, and then the next one around that time tomorrow, and then one after the day after that. And with me having Patreon now, it's pretty good because a lot of these videos that I've managed to film and edit, and I'm waiting to put them out publicly, I can put them out privately for Patreons as like early access, and that means that these videos are a kind of perk for people who pledge to me on Patreon. And it's good because I get early feedback from patrons as well, early comments. Number 13, where do you want your channel to be in a year's time? Pretty much as it is now, just, you know, like I said before, with more subscribers, a wider network of contacts, you know, good people, you know, people who I trust, people who I respect. And I've got a lot of these people in my life now thanks to YouTube already, and I always say onwards and upwards. Number 14, tell us your social medias. I won't tell them yet, I'll put them on the screen as I do for all my videos anyway. And the final question, number 15, does pineapple belong on pizza? Does anything belong anywhere? That's a bit philosophical, isn't it? I don't like pineapple on pizza, so I would say no, but if you like pineapple on pizza, then fine. You know, I'm not going to have you up against a firing squad for it. Weirdly, my mother and my brother love Hawaiian pizzas, ham and pineapple, whereas me, although I like pineapple juice and the flavour of pineapple, I can't bear pineapple on pizza, personally. But each to their own. Right, that's going to be it for me. Wow, what a long video this has been. I've got to think of a couple of people to tag in the hope that they may do this smaller YouTuber tag thing themselves. Let me think of a couple who won't already have been tagged to the best of my knowledge. I'll tag Nakama Collectibles, who's a great guy, great channel, and he tagged me in that Would You Rather challenge that happened, what, 6 months ago, or probably a bit longer. So Nakama Collectibles, I'll tag you in it, buddy. And also I will tag Funko UK guy, even though someone's probably already done that. So there we are, those are my 2 tags. That is going to be it for me for today. Affiliate links for discounts are all down in the description, as they always are. I do hope that you all join me again for my next video. Cheers everyone. See ya.